Hey everybody, this is Mr. A. How you doing? I am going to go over your second part of your practicing of scales for this summer. So last week you did diatonic sevenths. If you watched the first minute of the video and turn it off, said I know my scales. That wasn't the assignment. The assignment was diatonic sevenths. So go back and watch that video because diatonic sevenths is a little tricky. So you're working on that. My expectation is you're going to do a couple keys in diatonic sevenths between now and the start of school. Just maybe like two keys you like, probably your easiest key and your second easiest key. That's fine to get you started. If you're super hardcore and you want to pick your hard, if you're like it's your second year returning, like you're going to go into your third year of the jazz program, you could pick anything over three sharps or three flats in your scales. We talked about that in the video last week. Um, that's all fine. Like I said, you're going to do at least a couple keys in diatonic sevenths, so that's long-term ongoing. The other thing I want you to practice for your scales is going to be thirds, diatonic thirds. Once again, diatonic means you stay in the key, whatever key we're in. Today I'm going to do this in my C. Okay. So just to show you, I'm going to attach this document that you're looking at here, which the top thing, exercise 59, is from the improv packet, actually, but ignore that. We're going to look at exercise 60, which is not in your improv packet. And this is playing diatonic sevenths in all four ways, all four permutations in one key. If you need a bass clef, if you're having trouble getting this in the bass clef because I gave you just a treble clef copy, send me an email. I'm at Jazz Camp this week and next week. I will put it in Sibelius or Finale, and I'll pump out these exercises and bass clef for you. But hopefully you can figure it out pretty easily. The idea is to do this conceptually, you're not supposed to really read it. So anyways, just like diatonic seventh chords, we do the same thing, but now with just thirds. Thirds are skips. Or like if you were in a scale, you're going 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, right? So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're going to skip 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. So it sounds like this. Your basic exercise is up, and it's exercise 60, which hopefully you see on my screen right now. So I did 2 octaves on that. Okay, I didn't just do 1 octave as written. I'm going to encourage you to do this the full practical playing range of your horn. Think of this as these are exercises to make you kind of free, to feel like free when you're improvising. So you want to do practical range. You might be able to play a scale 3 octaves, but your practical improvisation range might only be 2 to 2.5. So think about it or discuss it with your private teacher. What's my practical playing range when I'm playing all these exercises for improv? Might be a good conversation to have, especially in this format in the summer when we're not doing it in school. When we do it in school, because everybody's a different instrument and has a different range, we can only do like an octave or an octave and a half. But here at home during the summer, you can practice at your practical playing range. And the good soloists over the years at Hall that you've heard could all do this, and they could all do it fast. And what was their practical? Maybe 2 octaves, maybe 2.5 octaves, whatever was their practical playing range. And that'll differ for every key you go into, right? Because depending where it starts on your horn, you might have a larger range or a lesser range. All right, so that was up. That's permutation number 1. Permutation number 2 is going to be just down. This is not written out in any of these 3 exercises. I'm sorry, but hopefully you can figure this out. It's the opposite of this. So instead of going 1, 3, 2, 4, you're going to go 3, 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, etc., etc. So in essence, I'm going to read number 60 backwards. I'm going to read the second note of each grouping first and the first note second. So I'm going to kind of flip it around in my head. It sounds like this. Okay, so you do those two. Those are like the warm up exercises. The real meat and potatoes, the real, or if you're a vegan or veggie, the real fantastic salad al fresco is here on 61 and 62, where you alternate. Okay, where you go up and then down. So if you look at the alternating pattern in 61, we go up a skip, then you go up a step, and then you skip down. So when you go up, when you transition between the up skip and the down skip, you're connected by a step. And that is kind of subtly, I practiced these in college. I probably didn't really understand that until I taught it the first time as a teacher. So just make sure you kind of get that in you're combining these sets of skips like a ladder, but they're connected by a step. Okay. And sometimes that can really confuse people. And the other thing to think about too is when you do these, because thirds, for me, you're either going to be better at diatonic sevenths and be like, yo, Mr. A, diatonic sevenths are so much better than diatonic thirds. Or you're going to come in September and be like, yo, Mr. A, diatonic thirds is so much better than diatonic sevenths. And you're going to either like one or the other. That actually tells you how your brain conceptually works. It's actually a lesson in how you learn. We'll talk about more of that in person in the fall. But basically, I enjoy diatonic sevenths. Those make sense to me because conceptually the way my brain structures things when I try to consume all types of learning. But some people really love diatonic thirds and think they're much easier. So you're going to be one or the other. But this is what confuses me. Because they're only skips, sometimes I get really confused when there's just a step in between them because I just can't rectify it. With diatonic sevenths, for me, it seems easier, more organized. But you'll figure out what works better for you. And we'll argue about it. Here we go, in a positive way. I'm going to do 61, which is alternating pattern up. Okay, that's the first alternating pattern. Sounds like this. Sorry about that. Then we can do the opposite, or the opposite of that, the fourth permutation, which is going to be down and then up. Sorry. So I did these all without actually having a reference. I'm giving you the reference for one octave. So if you're really confused, it's during the summer, you don't see me every day, you can sit there and go through it in one octave and at least start there. As I mentioned with diatonic sevenths, you're going to do probably a couple keys between now and the start of school. Same thing with this. You'll do a couple keys. You could do the same two keys. It'd be better to do two different keys because you're going to get some facility in both exercises. And the more keys you get facility in, the better your improvisation is. And better than that, the more technical chops you have to play all these burners and, hard things that we're going to play throughout the year. This is where you grow your capacity to really get those digital patterns together, to really get your fingers together, get your chops going. And if you're a returner this year 3 or 4, you want to do this in a hard key or do a couple of hard keys. Like I practiced F sharp for diatonics last week, and I'll probably do B or D flat this week for me for a third. So just keep that in mind. Depending on where you are on the spectrum, you're going to college, going to play in college in music. You want to be a music major, some short, or a music minor. Pick a hard key. This is your second year in the band. You're like, I just finished year 1. Woo! Do an easier key, right? So pick on the spectrum of things, pick a challenge for you that's a challenge that's appropriate depending on what you want to do and where you're at in the program, okay? If you have any questions, shoot me a note. The next thing that I'm going to do is give you an improv packet assignment, and then I'm going to give you your rep. Like by the beginning of August, you'll get from me a rep list like you normally get, which you already have all the rep, which hopefully you started looking at. But I will break it down with YouTube links, and then I'll highlight the colors that I really want you to focus on the most. And then for CJB, I'll get in touch with the section leaders and make sure that the sectionals are going okay and that you start focusing your sectionals onto those really specific ones I want to start the year with. But we're going to get through all that music. I didn't hand out anything in either band, in Jazz Band 2 or CJB, that we're not going to read at some point in September. So go ahead and jump into that and work on those tunes, because that's gonna be the biggest push coming out of COVID, right? We done the technical stuff. We still worked on improv. We did play a few really great songs with each other, but it wasn't a lot. So sitting down this summer and really going over that rep and making sure you really can play all that stuff is going to be, at first, that's going to be a push for you, where traditionally that's what Hall excels in. You read music all the time. You're really good at it. You still are, but you're just a little rusty because of COVID. So definitely take your time and go through the rep so that you don't feel overwhelmed in the first month of school. All right, any questions, comments, concerns, let me know, and I will see you all soon. As I said, I'll post a couple more videos, and then we'll have a few weeks left before school, and we'll get in touch. All right, thanks, everybody. Be well. Happy practicing.